Hello Flosstube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jen and this is my fiber web where I tell you about all of my adventures in cross stitch and sometimes knitting and crochet. Today is not a regular Flosstube update. Today is a Flosstube extra where I'm going to go through my finishes. This is going to be everything that I have finished and fully finished. I'm going to go as best as I can in the order that I finished them. I wasn't keeping the best notes when I first started, so some of the things might be slightly out of order. And I will do my best to let you know, in addition to the pattern and the designer, the fabric if I know what it is. And yeah, so that is what I have in store for today, a finished parade. Before I get into that, I do have a couple of things that I wanted to go over really quickly. In my last video, which was Flosstube number 11, which came out in the middle of last week, I announced the winner of the giveaway for Needles Dance. I have not heard back yet from the winner. Okay, this is the winner, K Gerhardt 100. If this is you, please reach out to me. If I do not hear back from you by my next regular Flosstube, I will pick a new winner. Okay. The other winners of the other two got back to me already, and I sent their patterns out in the mail today. The second thing I wanted to share is not a finish, but I want to share because I'm excited. This is my progress on the new stitch along from Quaternion Creations, Maria, called Forest Fairy Tale Sal. Right now, only the border has been released. I think it was just released at the end of last week. And I think there's still a couple weeks maybe before the next clue comes out. So I decided to do it on this piece of 22 count Ada, dyed by Bestitch Me. It did not have a name, so I think it might have been a Friday Night Fight Night. I got it in a D-stash, so I'm not 100% sure. The color's showing up pretty good right now. It's like a grayish green with some warmer yellowy bits. And I am doing this 1/1 on this 22 count Ada. And I love this part at the bottom. There's a little mouse. I think he's my favorite. And then I think on the other side that I can't decide if that's a bird. Over here, is this a bird? I think so, but he's a teeny tiny bird. If so, he's smaller than the mouse. I just love this so far. There's a little leaf hanging out up here. So anyway, I'm ready for the next clue, and I'm hoping to keep up with this. And I just wanted to share it in case anyone still wants to join. There's plenty of time to get this stitched before the clues start coming, and also obviously no pressure to keep up. But yeah, here's the tag for the fabric. It just says 229. So I've never actually won a Friday Night Fortnite, so Friday Night Fortnite, Friday Night Fight Night. So I don't know if that's how they come, but anyway. Okay, now I'm going to get into my finishes. So as far as I can remember, my first finish, let me just want to make sure I can see my notes in case I forget any of this stuff. I think the first thing that I finished was this cutie. Let's see. This pattern was called, where is it? Nesting Season. Right, this chart is called Nesting Season. It is by Country Cross Stitch. This is definitely a vintage chart. I found a seller on eBay who was selling a group of 4 of these, fully kitted with the cloth, the threads, and the frame. And the reason I got these is because my mom stitched this and it was hanging in my house and she gave hers to me. So this is the one that my mom stitched. I don't know exactly when, but you can see mine was kitted up with fiddler's cloth and hers was not. And it's interesting to see the color difference. So I don't know how much of that is dye lots changing with DMC versus just the age of the one that my mom stitched, the sunlight. Also, if you look closely, her stitches are way, way neater than mine. This was one of the first things that I stitched, and you can see there's some extra texture in that bird nest. I think all my stitches are going the same way. Oh, I just saw some that I didn't cross. There's a few in here that only have the bottom leg. Um, anyway, and yeah, the tension is all over the place. But it's a bird nest, so when you stitch things from nature, there's going to be some imperfections, right? So yeah, I still have 3 more of these charts, and the frames are all different shapes. So I have this exact same heart frame for this. I also there's one that's like an oval, um, one that's like an elongated octagon, and I don't remember what the other one is, maybe just a rectangle, but I haven't stitched any of the other ones. I stitched that in like the summer, I think, of 2022. And then the next thing I have to show you is a dimensions kit. This one is called Birdhouse Welcome. And I remember taking this one on a family vacation that we took down to Southern Illinois, which was also the like late summer 2022. And I think at that point, all I had left was the back stitch. So I think I finished it sometime around then. This is all the kit materials. Um, and yeah, I just stitched everything as per the pattern. Uh, and yeah, this is another like vintage dimensions kit that I just found on eBay, I'm sure. Super cute. I think this is 14 count Ada. Okay. And then the next thing I have, there is a seller on Etsy called My Fanny Designs, I think. And she has, among other things, a whole collection of Santas, all with mostly with different animals. And I bought a bunch of them, and I stitched this one first, the green Santa with the snowmen that I thought were adorable. And then a few months later, I stitched the one with the owls. I have several more of her charts, like I said, with different animals. I think they're adorable. A bunch of them are just named like Santa number 1, Santa number 2, I think. Santa collection. And then, yeah, they're numbered. And then I think she added a few later that aren't in the same number sequence, but they're all like roughly the same size with this little border. So I have this big piece of I don't know what linen. It's very big. So I was just gonna see how many I could fit. I think I bought an even number so I could do 2 rows. And yeah, I had this on my whip go last year, but I don't think I put it on this year. I sort of forgot about this because I have it living in this woodland winter themed bag by Sherry So Sweet. This one has a little thread. What do you call this? It's like the thing with the felt on the inside that can hold your started threads and your needle and stuff. And it has this cute little tree charm. So yeah, it wasn't with all of my other whips or with all my finishes, so sometimes I forget about these guys, but I do want to stitch more of them. So maybe once we get closer to Christmas, I will pull this out, or maybe in July for Christmas in July, I can add another 1 or 2 of those. Okay, the next thing I have is another dimensions kit. This is just called Woodland Deer, I think. And let's see, sorry. Here he is. I always think of him as a Christmas pattern, but maybe that's wrong. I mean, there's eggs in the bird nest, which is more spring, right? I think because that flower reminds me of a poinsettia, I just think of him as Christmas, and there's like those leaves look like holly with the little red berries. But he's just called Woodland Deer. So I stitched him thinking I would frame him and have him up as a Christmas decoration. And then yeah, the more I think about it, I don't know why. Maybe he should just live on the wall all year round. But yeah, this is all the kit materials, and this was not a dimensions gold, just regular dimensions. So I think everything was only 1 or 2 threads. Um, there's some half stitches and back stitch. Pretty eyes. Yeah, so that's Woodland Deer. I think that one is a newer kit. The next thing I have to show you is October 31st by Cottage Garden Samplings. The chart as charted, it says, I think it says October 31st on it, and there's a border that has like some gold stars and ribbony looking things, and I chose not to do that. I just wanted the crow or raven on the white pumpkin. And Cottage Garden charts have all these awesome, like the patterning that's inside the solid colors to mix it up and give it a blendy look and also make it fun to stitch. So I had fun stitching this. This is 1/2 on a 40 count ancient by Picture This Plus, which I think is the called for. So yeah, I have a frame that I want to put him in. I just haven't done it yet. Okay, my next finish is called The Joy of Winter, and it is a free chart from Stitches Through the Years. And I stitched this as part of a stitch along at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, maybe. And yeah, there were a bunch of people that also stitched this. I might need something to put behind this one. Let's grab this. Okay, so a bunch of people stitched this. I think my friend Judith is the one that introduced me to the Sal, and um, she lives nearby, so we actually like met up and had coffee one day, which was delightful. And yeah, a bunch of other people stitched this. I don't remember everyone who did, but anyway, here it is. This is a free chart. I think you can still get it. Um, I I'm not sure what this fabric is, but I stitched it 2/2, so I think it might be a 32 count. And yeah, this was fun to stitch. This was the first sort of more primitive style thing that I tackled, and I really enjoyed it. I think the chart might call for A12 for some of the yellow around the house to make it look like lights, and I did not use that. I just used the regular color without the sparkle. Yeah, this one is cute. I don't think it's a completely standard size for a frame, so I haven't decided how I want to finish this. It would be really cute on a project bag or just a little pillow. I think I used all the called for colors for this, except for that A12 that I mentioned. Okay, the next thing I have is another kit. This is a Janlin kit, I think. It's part of Susie's Zoo, and this one is called You're So Special. And this one came with a red plastic frame, just a red rectangle, like a thin plastic frame. Um, but I'm not sure what I did with that, and I don't think I want to use it. But this is just all the kit materials. I think this is a 14 count Aida. Looks like it. And yes, my stitching was getting a bit neater at this point compared to that first bird that I showed you. I just thought he was cute with this poppy that it looks like he's holding up. Okay, and then the next thing I think I finished, it was this. This is a fully finished item. This is the Mill Hill Beehive House, which I've showed before, and it's usually hanging in the background of my videos. Um, Not much to say. I just did everything as charted. I think I tried this. I got this because I wanted to try beading because I had started my first Nora Corbett, and I wanted to try beading something else before doing her beads. So yeah, that's that. And then my next finish was another kit, a teeny tiny one. This one is called Tea Rose, and it was by the company said Stitch and Send. So this was designed to be put into a greeting card. So the kit had a greeting card in it with like an oval cutout with like lace, not actual lace, like the paper was cut to look like lace around the border. So you could put this in and send it in a card. But I would like to make this into a pillow, and I want to do like um, a velvety black fabric on the back and some black trim. This is just like a sort of older style rose with a bunch of backstitch. It was fun to stitch. I think I might have done this as a part of my New Year's Eve 12 by 12. I threw a bunch of small things in there so I wouldn't be super overwhelmed. Okay, the next thing I have is the Star Woman stitch along from Barbara Anna. So I did do this while the stitch along was actually happening, and I kept up with it, and I love it. And this just happens to fit inside of that red plastic frame that came with that Susie Zoo piece. And it's like a really good match for her hair. So I might put her in that. I haven't decided. But yeah, she was very fun to stitch. I love the way Barbara Anna does all of the shading on the face. This one was fun. And I don't know what fabric this is. It's a 32 count linen though, and I did it 2/2 with all the called for DMC. I even did the back stitch with 2 strands, which is not my favorite. Like if you look at the little stars, they have 2 strands of backstitch, and I don't like how it looks. I usually, if it calls for 2 strands, I usually do one. But anyway, okay, the next one I have is another dimensions kit with birds. Apparently that is a thing that I'm into. I did this one as a stitch along with my friend Judith. Um, I had accidentally bought this chart or this kit twice. This one is called um, Bluebirds of Happiness. The other one was Birdhouse Welcome. So this is Bluebirds of Happiness, and I used all of the kit materials. So it is on the kit data, and yeah, I did everything as per pattern. When I started stitching this, I thought the colors for the birdhouse looked a little bit strange because when you look at it, it reads brown, but they're actually gray. And I think when Judith did hers, she did warm the colors up a bit, so hers is more brown. But I love how this turned out. The colors in the flowers were super fiddly. There are a bunch of French knots, the yellow in the flowers. Um, Even the birds, there's not necessarily confetti, but there was a lot of counting and concentration to get this one done, and a lot of backstitch. But I think it turned out great. Okay, the next one I have to share is a Witchy Stitcher Patreon pattern called the Crafting Bat. And this one, as soon as it came out, I stitched it the exact same day. So it's charted to have the little paper dowels all in one color. And I think the spools of pink are they're all one color pink, and I wanted to switch it up. So that was the only change I made. And yeah, stitched this in a day. It was super fun. Um, I have I had an idea. I got this little tray from Michael's. It's like a square flat tray, but around the edges of it, it has a vertical fence, and it looks like, I think there's a gate, so it looks like a cemetery. And I had an idea to do a bunch of little tiny Halloween smalls and put them in that tray, and then that never happened. But this is one of the ones that I would like to finish into a pillow and put into that little tray. There's a whole series of these that she did, and this is the only one that I stitched. Okay, the next one I have is another vintage kit. This one was from the Creative Circle, and it's called Mushroom Garden. And this one was actually, the kit included materials to stitch this onto clothing. So like, I don't know what it's called, that fabric that you stitch over and then you remove it afterwards. It had that stuff in it. But I just found a little piece of, I don't know what this is, even weave, and stitched it on here. And the kit included a couple different charts and also an alphabet, so you could put your initials, like monogram something with the mushrooms. And yeah, I just did this little motif. Super fun and cute. On the mushroom theme, I also did this Mill Hill Mushroom House, which is also usually hanging behind me somewhere. Um, this is part of the same series as the Beehive House. Uh, I think there's one more house in the series. It's like a haystack house, and then there's also some gnomes, but I just got these two. And yeah, this one I started on New Year's Eve as part of my 12 by 12. And I accidentally started it with a perforated paper oriented wrong, because I thought it would be portrait, but it would needed to be landscape. So after New Year's Eve, I had to rip it all out and start over. So this one took me a while to finish, even though it's very small. Okay, next I have, this was a free holiday stitch along from Kyoku Maroka. I'll put her name on the screen maybe because I have no idea if I'm saying that right. And this was, what's it called? Santa Has Come, I think it was called. Mystery stitch along where there were, she charted a bunch of different characters that you could choose to put in the middle of here. So there were a bunch of little kids from all different parts of the world with like different cultures represented in their outfits. And then there were also these astronauts, and I went for the astronauts. And also, I thought it was interesting. She did not, I don't think she gave us colors for this. She just said pick colors that you like. Um, so I went for sort of a vintage Christmas vibe with this sort of tealy green and coral. And yeah, I started this in 2022. That's when the stitch along happened, but I definitely did not finish it until 2023. And the chart includes a third part, which I skipped, which has Santa riding in on like a shooting star with like rainbow colors coming out of the tail, which is very cute and whimsical, but I liked it how it was, so I stopped here. Okay. And then the next finish I have to share with you is another Barbara Anna. This one was also a stitch along. I didn't do it while it was a stitch along though, I did it after. So I bought the pattern after this was already all released. And this is, I think it's called She Mad Hatter Dreams is the official name of it. So I think this is my only Alice in Wonderland piece. Um, but yeah, I had so much fun stitching this. I love the colors. Um, Again, like the way that Barbara Anna Designs does the shading in the face and the hair. Like sometimes as you're stitching it, you're like, what is this? But then it all comes together so beautifully. So this is all called for colors. And it says we're all mad here. This was so fun to stitch. This is on, I think it's a 32 count linen. And I definitely did it 2/2. And yeah, this was great. Very enjoyable to stitch. After finishing this, I thought I was definitely going to start a few more Barbara Anna, and I actually haven't. I have some in stash, but um, yes, I love her. Okay. And the mouse, again, this adorable, I mean, this is a Mouse, but I didn't know that I liked mice so much, but I have that mouse holding the poppy, the mouse on the Forest Fairy Tale stitch along, the mouse on here. I guess I like mice. I don't like actual mice, but in designs, they're cute. Okay, for my Halloween smalls, this was another one that I stitched in a day or two. This is from Noctiflora, and this came out, I think, as a complimentary pattern for people who signed up for the stitch along that she did. I don't remember what it was called. This one is, oh, Horror Flies, I think was the name of it. And this is Baby Horror Fly. So this was like a bonus chart, and I stitched it up immediately. Super cute. I did the called for DMCs. I love how she does the eyeballs. And this was just like it was already an ornament cut of this sort of pale lavender Ada that I thought was perfect. And I have another teeny tiny one. This is Starry Night from the Mini Masterpieces collection. There's a Facebook group, if you don't know, called Snarky and Modern, where they were doing some of the charts out of this Mini Masterpieces collection as a stitch along throughout last year, I think. It might still be going on. I don't know. This is the first one, I think, and it's the only one that I did. I do have that collection, and I might do some more of them at some point. And this is just on a maybe 16 count Ada, 14. Yeah, it looks like 16 to me. And I did it 2/1. This was fun to stitch on. Lots of little color changes because you only need a few stitches here and there. Okay, and then this next one was in my whip pile for a long time. This was one of the things I started earlier on, and it just took me a long time to finish it. This is called Sleepy Hollow, and it is by Hello from Liz Matthews. And let me see if I can get this sort of straight. I made a bunch of changes to turn this into a birth sampler or birth announcement, whatever you want to call it. So, um, in the original chart, all of the pumpkins have jack-o'-lantern faces, and there are more, I think there's maybe more stars in the sky. There's a big like sign in the center that says Sleepy Hollow and maybe a date. And there are also like spiders, and this dog in the original chart is actually like a black cat, I think, like arching its back. But I wanted to take this from being Halloweeny to being just more fall because my 2-year-old Cole was born in November. We actually brought him home from the hospital on Thanksgiving Day in 2021. So I didn't know that I was going to do that when I bought the chart, and I did buy all of the NPI silks that it is charted in, which were delightful to work with. So I stitched this 2/2, and this is either a 32 or a 36 count. So my stitches are kind of bulky, and especially like in the tree, they're a little bit floppy, I think. Um, but I was stitching on this for so long that like my stitching got better over time, and you can kind of see that in this project. And yeah, I just thought it was super sweet as a fall piece for my little baby. My Halloween, no, my Thanksgiving baby. Okay, still need to find the perfect frame for that. Okay, next is a big one. Uh, this is my Nora Corbett Wisteria Pixie. She is part of the Blooming Pixies or Pixie Blossoms or something like that collection. This was my first Nora Corbett design. She has Krynic in her wings, not too much, just in the dots, the red and orange color are the Krynic. And she has all these beads in the flowers, beads on her shoe, beads on her headdress, and these long tendril thingies, little loopy swirls. Oh, those are Krynic too. These little thingies that come off. I don't know what they are, but they're Krynic, purple Krynic. So yeah, I was very happy to finish her. I would like to fully finish her. You can see I ironed her, but I didn't want to iron around the beads, so she's still a little wrinkly, like. But hopefully, once she gets like stretched out and framed, that will go away. And I've showed her on my channel before, but look at these big bead clusters. They were fun to do. Um, they have the regular seed beads, like the size 11, and then also these bigger ones that are maybe size 8. And what do I want to say about her? Her skirt was hard to stitch. There's a lot of little um, sections of colors here and there that definitely they are not intuitive as you're stitching them. This is another one where you pull it back and you're like, oh, now I see the blooms. So it took a while to get through the actual X's on this. And then once I got to do the beads, which I was nervous about, I had a lot of fun. I really liked working on the beads on her. Um, so I was very excited once I finished her to start something else from Nora Corbett with beads. And yeah, I like the pale purple colors. I thought the choice of the Krynic in the wings was sort of strange, that dark red and orange, but they do pop off the wings. So that is my Wisteria Pixie, I think is what it's called. Okay, now we are into things I finished this year, and so I think all of these have been on my Flosstube channel before, with the exception of maybe this guy. This is, I think it's just called Guitar with Flowers. And it is part of a postage stamp collection by Sweet and Net. Um, so it was charted to have like a rectangular border that looks like a perforated like postage stamp, but I just did the center motif and then I framed or finished it in this ornament. And I put just some felt on the back and sort of tacked it down. If I ever get like a little tree to put seasonal things on, maybe that will go on there. But for right now, it's usually by this calendar or somewhere behind me. Okay, and then I have, I think from here on, it's definitely things I've showed before. So this is Snow Garden, which is Blackbird Designs Anniversaries of the Heart. It's the first pattern in that series. I did this in January. And I just put the year. I didn't put any initials or anything. I do not remember what this fabric is. I think it might be a 32 count something. And I did it 2/2. And I talked before about I used the called for colors, and mine were, I used the called for DMC, not the overdye. And I thought they were a little yellowy. Some of the snow I thought should be whiter, but I just went with it. So it's a warm, glowy snow. I don't know. And then I have my January Quaker from the Heart Needle Art by Wendy. This is with the called for overdyed floss, and it is on 32 count, I think. Is that right? Am I lying? No, it's on 40 count. It's on 40 count 1/2. Okay, and then the next one I have is this Riolis kit. This is stitched with wool acrylic blend instead of cotton threads, and everything is a half stitch instead of a full X. And this one is called Winter Guest, I think. So I have a few larger Riolis kits, and I wanted to try one of the small ones to try the wool acrylic first. Um, and that was it. I think I stitched this in a day or two. I love the colors. I love the black and then the bright corally reds. Fun to stitch. It did make me feel a tiny bit itchy. It's like mostly acrylic. It's like 10 or 20% wool, I think, but it's like more rustic wool spun in there, I think. Okay, and then I have the February Quaker by From the Heart Needle Art by Wendy. Again, I used the called for overdyes for this, and I used the same fabric as I did for January. I don't know why I cut it this way. I have this extra I need to chop off and use for maybe some ornaments or something. But yeah, again, 40 count, 1/2. Did I use the called for? I might have changed one of the colors for this. I think it might have had two pinks, and I changed one of them to red because the pink that I got was not different enough from this. So mine came out looking a little Christmassy, and this looks like a chili pepper to me, but that's okay. And I started making these with the intention of finishing them so I could use them in this calendar box, which I was inspired to do by Handmade by Sarah W. I still would like to do that, but I stopped stitching these. I did not start March or April or May. So at some point I will do those. Not right now though. And then this is the second Blackbird Design Anniversaries of the Heart chart, which I finished in February. Again, I'm not exactly sure what this fabric is, but it looks like it's 2/2. So this is either 30 or 32 count. I don't remember what this chart is called. I'll put it on the screen. I did not super enjoy stitching this one. The January one went quicker. This one took me forever. Yeah, I like how it turned out. This one had some fun specialty stitches down here, like a chain stitch, I think. And then also there's like a basket weave thing going on in this flower pot. So I think it's just satin stitches going one way and the other way to make that. Okay, I only have a couple things left. One of them is, I think this is actually my most recent finish, which is Needles Dance. So I've shown this recently, and I do have a frame picked out that I want to put this in. I obviously have not even ironed this yet. It's still rolling up from me stitching it in hand, which is how I stitch most things. Um, yes, I love this so much. This is on 32 count lock linen. I picture this plus, and I stitched it 2/2 with my own conversion of floss I had in stash that was close to the called for. I love it. I love how this turned out. This is one of those charts that when I started it, I started this as my new year, new start this year. And I thought it was going to take a lot longer. I thought it was bigger. You know, some charts you look at and you're like, that looks small. And then you start it and you're like, no, this is huge. This was the opposite. I thought it was bigger. And then it actually went really quickly. And I had a lot of fun. Love it. And then I obviously also showed this very recently, but just for posterity, I will put this in. This is my Poisonous Plants finish by Witchy Stitcher on a 32 count dark gray. I don't remember what color it is. 2/2 with all the called for. And this is a thrifted frame that I found that just happened to be the perfect size, and it matches the green. I mean, there's two greens used in the chart, and it matches one of them like almost perfectly. Oh, there's a little tiny ort on here. This one was very also fun to stitch and went quickly. Love it. I still have to figure out how to close up the back. The little like staple things that are in here to hold this in were down too low, so I couldn't fit it. I had to take them out to fit this in. So I still need to figure out how I want to hold them in there and cover up the back. But this has just been sitting behind me so I can still enjoy it even though it's not fully finished yet. So those are all of my finishes. Oh, I do have two other things that I gave away as gifts. Maybe I'll put a picture in. One is Light a Single Candle, which is a free chart from Modern Folk Embroidery. I think Jacob was inspired by some things that were going on politically. And I love the chart. And one of my oldest friends has a candle company. So I stitched it for her and I changed some of the colors to match her like logo and branding colors. So hopefully I will have put in a picture of Light a Single Candle. That one was also a quick, fun stitch. I think it's charted to be monochromatic, but I did two colors. I think that one was 2/2 on a 28 or 32 count. I did frame that one myself. I laced the back on that one instead of pinning it, which is what I did for this Poisonous Plants finish. And then the other one is another free chart. It is a complimentary chart from Lizzie Kate, I believe, called Hello Spring. And if I can find a picture of my finish, I will put that in here. I finished it as a pillow with like a little bit of fabric on the front next to it and then stitched it up. I don't think it has any trim on it or anything. It's just, I don't know. I'll have to find a picture because I don't remember exactly. But yeah, I think pillow finishes are actually easier for me to do than framing things because I don't know. It's easier to figure out where the lines are and sew a straight line than it is to try to uh, work around lacing or pinning and having to readjust constantly. I just finished recording and turned around and realized I forgot one of my finishes. So this is Hedgehog and Hyacinth by the Blue Flower, which I stitched in a day or two earlier this year. This was a market release from the Blue Flower. And as soon as I had the Cottage Garden threads and the chart, I stitched it I know it was within 24 hours. So this fabric is from the Crazy Hamster. She sells her fabric on Facebook, both in like the D-Stash group, and I think she has her own Facebook page where you can order from. And I think this was listed as a 40 count linen, but it's actually an uneven 40 count. So it's 40 count in one direction and closer to 32 in the other. So my hedgehogs are a little bit like stout. They're like squished on the vertical axis a little bit, which I think is super cute for them. So they're just a little bit chubbier than charted. And yeah, I used the 3 called for Cottage Garden threads. Oh, that's better for the color. It's more green like that. um, which one of the threads is this purple to pink. One of them is the green that is used in that leaf and the stem and the little socks that the hedgehogs are wearing, and then the other one is the brown. So for the flowers, I just stitched them. I started from the stem and just stitched out. And then for the hedgehog, I did go kind of around, and then I chose to sort of, I didn't want to just like stitch it back and forth in rows and have him be stripy. So that's what I did. And I have already started another project on the rest of this fabric, which is why I forgot to show it to you because it was in a project bag. So I'm just going to show that real quick since I have it out. This is my start on My Flowers by Boomerang Stitches, which is Amity from the Hathaway Stitchers. So yeah, I did my own, I'm doing my own colors for this. I'm doing this the other direction, so these flowers are going to be a little bit squished on the horizontal axis compared to how they are charted, since my squares are not squares, they're rectangles. Okay, that is actually all. Editing Jen back one more time. This was sitting in front of me the entire time I was filming and I still forgot. This is one more finish that I have to show you. This is, don't look at my face. This was a kit that came with an issue of World of Cross Stitch magazine. I do not remember which issue. I do not remember the name of this. Giraffe in a scarf. The giraffe also has leg warmers on that are pink and yellow striped that are fantastic. Yes, I love his knitted scarf, or hers, I guess, that's wrapped around 4 times. And I even found a giraffe print fabric to back my pillow. This was, I think it's called something about a bookmark. It's supposed to be a bookmark, which is why it's tall and skinny, but I don't like putting thick bookmarks in books ever. So I made him into a pillow, and he's also, I keep saying he, he. He is also usually behind me in my videos, so maybe you have seen him before. He just hangs out back here. Okay, those are all my finishes. Maybe. Maybe you'll see me again. Maybe not. So yeah, I have a lot of things to fully finish and not many that I have tried yet. So I'm thinking maybe next year I will do a second Whipco board for fully finishing things, or maybe just set a goal to like fully finish one thing a month. Um, but not right now, because right now I'm having fun stitching all the things, and my plate is pretty full with that. Okay, so that is all I have for you today, I believe. And I should be back next week, hopefully, with a regular Flosstube update. And if I have not heard back from the winner of that Needles Dance chart, I may draw a new winner next week. Yeah, I think that's it. So happy stitching. Thanks for hanging out if you made it this far. See you next time.